Everyone. I am Camille Miller, the founder and executive director of the Natural Life Business Partnership. And today we are talking to Jessica Conrad. She is a charter member of the Natural Life Business Partnership, and you are watching us on NLBP TV. Jessica L. Conrad is a life coach and the owner of Awakening Holistic Center out of Monmouth Beach, New Jersey. Thank you, Jessica, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your journey and life coaching and your specific niche in the market and how you got to be where you are, because I know everyone has a great journey to
yes.
our world.
So yes, it seems like there. You know, it's our personal journey that leads us to, you know, how we, you know, coach people or wherever we get to it, you know. Exactly. So my personal story is I dealt with infertility for many years. I had been misdiagnosed for many years by doctors, and by the time I was finally diagnosed, I had stage 4 endometriosis, which is, you know, the worst stage there is. And subsequently, I've had multiple surgeries, and I had been told by the doctors I would never be able to get pregnant. It's a very similar story. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. We're misdiagnosed. Our symptoms are pushed away by the doctor saying, no, that's not true, you know? And so by the time, a lot of times, especially with reproductive disorders or illnesses like endometriosis or PCOS, by the time you get a diagnosis, you're so far into it. It takes years to get these diagnoses, which is unfortunate in this day and age.
Right.
So, you know, I tried to go the medical way. We did some IUIs and the drugs. We did Clomid, and it didn't work for me. And I had it, and I kind of just reached the point where I decided I didn't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to do the stress, this pressure, this anxiety every month about whether I was going to get pregnant or not pregnant. It was just very taxing on me and my family and my husband. And I decided I wasn't going to live this way anymore.
Okay.
I just kind of put it out into the universe and said, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but I'm going to go back to living my life and enjoying it fully. And within a couple months, I got pregnant. And you know, now I have a 7-year-old, you know, little maniac running around, you know, Liam, my son.
Right.
So after going through all that, and, you know, I own a holistic center, I decided I wanted to find a way to help other women going through this, so that they wouldn't have to feel all that disparity that I felt. I felt lost. I felt ashamed. Like I was in the shadows. I felt nobody understood me. Nobody can understand what I'm going through. You know, everybody says, oh, it'll happen, or you should do this, or you should do that. And you're like, you have no idea what I'm going through.
Gotcha.
So how can I take that and you know, work with women so that they don't feel like that, so that they can remove these blockages and this trauma? Because a lot of it that we go through, people don't realize the trauma, and that trauma sticks with us, you know?
Okay.
You go through these testings. These testings are terrible, you know? I don't want to sugarcoat it, because the testings are painful and they're very invasive, and, you know, and then you use the medicines and sometimes you miscarry, and then you have to have DNCs, and the list goes on, all of which causes trauma. And we kind of just keep it inside of us, whether we know it, you know, consciously or unconsciously, it gets stuck in there.
Right.
And then over time, it just causes these blockages, and it causes us to live our life in a certain way, which we may not even realize. Why we're not going after this other thing we want, why we're not going after, I don't know, say like a job promotion or whatever it is. We don't go after these other life events because all this trauma is now blocking us, which we don't even realize. So I decided to become a life coach. So I went to school. I'm a certified life coach through IPEC. I am also a member of the ICF. It's the International Coach Federation.
Okay.
Which kind of, they govern all like the coaching schools. And, you know, there's only a certain list of schools that they partner with the credential so that you can become an ICF member.
Okay.
Because it's a very rigorous program, as it should be if you're trying, you know, when you're trying to help women through these things.
Right.
My certification, and this is where I'm at, trying to help other women, you know, battling infertility or whatever stage of it they're in.
Yeah, I can imagine the emotional imprint, really, that it leaves even later, even after you have children.
It sticks with you.
Or some people that decide to never have children.
Yeah,
and say, you know what, I give up. This is not for me, or it's not going to happen, or whatever that may be for that person.
Right.
So you work in concert with medical teams that are, you know, someone might be going to someone for infertility, but you're kind of the mental side that most, I would think most centers or doctors don't provide that.
Right. Because I'm not a PhD. I'm not a psychologist. You know, the difference being life coaching, I don't tell you what to do. I just kind of guide you and ask the right questions. And it's all very much client centered and focused. It all comes from them.
Okay.
Guide them.
And have you found that sometimes when people start talking it out or start unblocking that piece, that they start to get a little freer? Do they tend to maybe even get pregnant when they kind of let some of that go?
Absolutely. I mean, and like there's other coaches out there that call themselves fertility coach. My goal is really to unblock that trauma that's stuck in there. Mm-hmm. Whether you conceive or don't conceive, you know, that's not really my goal. My goal is really to help you move forward in life.
Okay.
Because, you know, sometimes these blockages or these traumas can cause anxiety and fear. And when you're going through your daily routine, you might hear something or see something and it brings up all this anxiety, fear. And you're like, where is this coming from?
Right.
You know, so it's to free them. And and just the process of talking about it is so cathartic. You know, I give women a safe place where they can say and express themselves any way they choose without any fear of judgment. I will never judge them for what they have to say, mm-hmm. which is, you know, it's that open, honest space, because sometimes you're even scared to tell your best friend, your mom, your husband, like what you're really feeling.
Yeah.
And it bottles up. You have to be able to release all of that.
Yeah. And sometimes family is not supportive because they're like, what's wrong with you? Your spouse or significant other can feel the same way. Mm-hmm. You know, and if you have friends or girlfriends that are all getting pregnant or having pregnant, their second child, the third child, and you feel very missing out.
And why them and why not me? And there's a lot of why not me?
A lot of anger.
Resentment. And we gotta, you know, break free of that and find a way to break free of that, you know? Just because somebody gets pregnant, that's not a reflection on you and who you are.
Right.
But take it so personally.
Yeah.
You know? I know, I've been there. You know, why is this one getting pregnant? And this one doesn't even want a baby and they're pregnant. You know? I would be a good mom. I'm married. I have a great job. Why, you know?
Yeah.
Did you ask yourself, why not me?
So people that may be listening to this and going through this exact scenario or feeling that way, what are some words that you may be able to, you know, reach out to them or say to them that might be in this situation now?
I always want women to have hope. I'm so, you know, and I use this quote all the time from Anne Frank, where there's hope, there's life. You know, you have to realize, you know, people have been through such harsh things in life that we'll never understand. And they had hope and they survived, you know. You need to have hope for the future, hope that you will get pregnant, or just hope that you can live the life of your dreams. I never want a woman to lose hope in all areas of life.
Gotcha. Are there any specific strategies that you use or other people that you partner with, like an acupuncturist, if not a medical team, or somewhere in the holistic realm?
Well, luckily I own the Holistic Center. And so not only do we provide the coaching, but acupuncture is great. You know, I actually used acupuncture while trying to conceive.
Okay.
I did conceive, and I conceived naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the things I use, acupuncture. So I do have a wonderful woman who works at the center who does acupuncture to help women conceive. And she does work with fertility clinics.
Excellent.
For women, you know, who are maybe going through IVF or IUI, and she does the treatments before and after, you know, during, to help with the process. And we have other modalities. We have massage, which is just as good for stress management.
Lymphatic, yeah.
They want to focus on, while you're going through these treatments, stress management is so important.
Yeah, and taking care of self.
And taking care, remember about you.
Let yourself go, because you're just so...
You're so focused
in the whole world. Yeah.
It's so important for self-care. You know, it's not selfish to put yourself first.
Yeah. Totally understood. So you had the holistic center. Let's talk a little bit about your holistic center. Before you decided to become a life coach, you already were kind of embedded in that world.
Yes.
And how did that come to be?
Yeah, it all comes together, right?
Right. Nothing happens by mistake.
It's all this long journey, right? Because you're like, why is this happening? And then one day you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly why this all happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it had to do with all the misdiagnosis I had. When I did have the endometriosis and I wasn't, you know, diagnosed, I had been told it was all in my head. I was told, you know, it was IBS. I was told it was this, it was that. And I just was sick of being sick, and the meds they were putting me on made me feel sick, and I just didn't want to feel that way anymore. So I looked around to see what else there was, and my mom was very much into holistic health herself.
Okay.
She is a medical doctor, and she's, you know, we do the holistic stuff. She had issues, and she found a holistic approach worked much better for her. So why not me? So I know it helped me, and it also helped me conceive. I know that, you know.
Right.
Between the acupuncture and the supplements and my diet, and, you know, there's a whole slew of things you can incorporate. So, so we decided to open this wellness center and open it up to other practitioners who are in the holistic field, who were looking for a community to be a part of. I like to consider us a community.
Right.
Because we have practitioners doing all kinds of things, but all working in conjunction for the greater good of the client, of the patient, you know. We can refer to one another, you know. If the acupuncturist thinks, you know, life coaching would be good, or I think a massage would be helpful, you know, we can all work together for the greater good.
So I'm curious, in your life coaching approach with the infertility, do you take in someone's diet and their environment and that piece into your suggestions or coaching, or do you coach like in all areas? Is it just like the psychotherapy, the mental piece, or is it, you know, all about the whole person?
Generally, we just more focus on the coaching aspect because, you know, I'm not certified in like nutrition or, you know, other areas. But if they have questions for me, I will answer how I did it, you know, how I changed, how I found, you know, I can just give my testimonial of what worked for me, you know. Not saying it'll work for everybody, but this is what worked for me. Right. And changing my environment and my diet, and like for me, having endometriosis, it was really important to have an anti-inflammatory diet. Okay. Foods that help reduce inflammation, get rid of the foods that cause inflammation, you know, no alcohol, no caffeine, and no processed foods, you know? Yeah. So, and it's, you know, it's a delicate place because I have to know that the woman I'm speaking to is willing to hear these things. Right. You know? Understood. Yeah. You never want to force your will on somebody, or you really can't. You never want to offend them or make them feel, you know. So questions for me, I'm open, but I never want to, you know, just, you know, put it out there on them. Yeah, I heard a great quote the other day. Actually, I read it, I think, on Facebook. And it said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But when the student is really ready,
the teacher disappears.
Mm.
Like I always heard the first part, but never the second part.
I never heard the second part.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it's so true, because then they're able to do it on their own.
Yes.
They're able to move forward on their own. That's terrific. So anything else that I didn't ask that you want to tell everyone, the audience, about your life coaching, your practice, what you specialize in?
The only thing is if you know, there's a woman out there who's curious about it, I would ask her if she wants to go to my website, jessicalconrad.com, and I do offer a complimentary half-hour session where it's like a discovery call where she can ask me any questions she may have about it, or what it's like, so she can decide for herself if life coaching is something that she feels would benefit her. Right.
Love that. And do you do coaching via Skype or Zoom or?
Yes. That's one of the great things about it is I can do it at the center or on Zoom or even just over the phone. It's really, you know, client centered, so it's whatever works best for them in their schedule.
Love it.
And what's most comfortable for them, you know?
Love it. So the best way for people to get in contact with you is through your website?
Correct.
And they can email and I guess call you right from there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Perfect. All right, Jessica.
I'm passionate about this. So anybody with questions, you know, you could tell just in my demeanor, this is really, you know, my passion.
Absolutely. And if you're listening to this afterwards, which all of you probably are, Jessica's information will be in our show notes below. So you can get her contact information and her bio and everything in the show notes below, and hopefully you can reach out to her. Thank you, Jessica, for joining us today.
And thank you.
Part of our member spotlight.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Really.
And hopefully people will be in touch with you and can help themselves out in their own infertility.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.